Hello YouTube, this is that Yi guy. Today we got the April and May roadmap for Lost Ark. I just want to go over this relatively quickly and give you my thought on this roadmap. So the first thing is, in April, we are getting the Lancemaster class, which is going to be a Glavier class in the Western release. So Glavier class is really cool. It's very mobile, very fast-paced DPS class. Once it is actually out in the West, I'm gonna look into making a guide for it. The next thing we're gonna get is the South Vern continent. So South Vern is gonna continue the storyline, and not only that, it should potentially introduce content such as the bridge, which hasn't come out in our version yet. It's not explicitly stated, but the entrance to the bridge is located inside South Vern. Another major one is the Feiton Powerpass. So it provides item level 960, so it will take a new character directly to 960 and complete everything up until Feiton. If we're getting the same treatment as the Korean or Russian version, we're gonna get a free power pass that's gonna come out the same time as a new class. The quality of life improvement, these are also quite big. So improve co-op party play for secret maps. All 4 members can submit a map to get rewards with 1 run. For people who are not familiar with this is something to prevent scams in the map rotations. So for example, if you get Chaos Gate maps, you can also check my video on that. The most profitable way to run it is with 4 people, each contributing a map so that you get 4 runs out of each map you contribute. So what might happen is that people will advertise that they all would chip in a map, and then they ask you to go first, they ask you to go second, go third, but once it is their turn to chip in, they will just leave. So that is a very scummy way to go about it. But this feature, how that works is that in the beginning, when you find a secret map area, everyone will be asked to submit a map. And if everyone's okay with what people are putting up, you will consume it, and then all 4 of you will get the drop at once. So this is going to be really nice and help people not to get scammed. Thing is, in May, we're getting the class which is Destoryer. Now, I'm personally most excited about Destoryer, even though it is not the most meta class in Korea. A lot of people expected Destroyer to come out first, but in Korea, for those who don't know, Destroyer hasn't been the most meta class. So what they're doing right now is rebalancing the class, and then they're doing reworks, they're changing the values and things like that. So this delay potentially would mean that we will get the new and improved version of Destroyer that's going to be closer to the meta and not underpowered, which a lot of Korean players seem to think that Destroyer is right now. Trial Guardian Raid is going to be similar to what we're experiencing with the casual Guardian Raid, but it is going to be much more difficult and actually require you to work on dodging, work on the mechanics to get through it. So this is going to be a more difficult version of what we're used to so far with the event Casual Guardians, and the reward is really good if we get the same version as the Korean version. The general update. So some people might glance over this, but this is actually going to be quite big. The ability to check daily and weekly content participation in a new menu. So this is actually one of the best quality of life in the Korean and Russian versions. It does is that when you do the character switch, when you're in game, you want to switch a character, you're actually gonna see if the character has run daily chaos dungeon yet. You're gonna see if you have done the Guardian raids, you've done the ghost ship, you've done different things. That way, whenever you switch, whenever you go to that menu, you can look and see right away if you're missing certain content on certain characters. So this is actually going to be really big. So I just want to point this out. So updated loot dismantling is also a big deal. As we go through the game, a lot of times you're going to get some really worthless item. We're gonna get things, stats and engravings that don't make any sense on the jewelry. But what updated loot dismantling, if we get the same version as Korea, means is that we can actually set very specific parameters. So if we don't want this stat, if we don't want this engraving, it can automatically go in and dismantle those specific pieces that we don't want. This is going to be really nice as well. It's a major quality of life change for the tentative content in May. So the Guardian Deskaluda is going to be the higher tier Guardian at 1415, and it's going to just be a higher tier Guardian that we can potentially challenge ourselves with, and it's going to give more rewards. That's going to be fun, but nothing particularly noteworthy, to be honest. But the Legion rates, Valtan, Normal, and Hard. So this is going to be really exciting. It's going to be 1415 required, and by the time it is in May, I think a lot of people will be relatively close to the actual gear score requirements. Now this is a 8-player raid with some interesting mechanics, and this will also introduce the new tier of stuff, a relic tier of items. So there's also the implication of what Legion Raid is going to do for the game itself, because right now, if you like a lot of other people, gold is really hard to earn, and the prices just keep getting lower and lower, and no one's spending any gold. So Legion Raid is actually the point in the Korean version where more gold is coming into the game. Even if we're unable to participate upon release, this will also inject more gold into the economy and potentially be really good. Now, some people will probably be disappointed if they think this is the only thing that's coming out. So usually roadmaps do not include events, for example, like the racing, the casual guardian, and things like that. And whenever they mention continent, it's not going to go in depth to talk about everything that's in the continent. So we potentially might get a bridge when we get South Vern, we don't know yet. And we potentially could get other horizontal content as these things come out. So yeah, this week I'm coming out with a video for Berserker, the 1370 Plus. I'm going to go into details on the preferred tripod, all the ideal engravings for this stage of the game, and things like that. And aside from that, I have some other videos in the works, so please stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day.